For the past 2 chapters of Jin School, we encountered a few moves that either did not fit the category the episode covered, or had multiple purposes. Since we wanted to avoid redundancy in tool usage, and to have the information covered in those videos be both specific and accurate, they were somewhat glossed over. These moves will now each get an individual breakdown. Half of these are generally considered to be excellent, while the other half tends to be considered bad apples. These moves are while standing 2, standing 4, forward forward 2, 1+2, send 3+4, back forward 2, 1, 2, back forward 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 4, 4 forward 3, 1 and variations, down back 2, 2, 3, 2, 1, 4, 1 down 3, 4, 3, 1, 4, while standing 3, 1, 3 variations, down forward 3, 3, down 3, 3, and forward 3, 3. As these moves are both uncategorized and can fit different purposes, the order we break them down in won't really matter much. Given this circumstance, some of them are considered more in the vein of gimmicks than solid strategies. While standing 2 is, well, the Jin while standing launcher. Besides limiting the use of particular lows versus Jin, seeing as it is I-14, it also makes ducking in neutral a somewhat solid strategy if you can force whiffs while crouching. Jin can also utilize while standing 2 in his wave dash pressure, using instant while standing 2 as a mix-up with CD4. Wave dashing will realign Jin to the opponent, making up for the move's lack of tracking. You can think of Jin's while standing 2 mix-up in a similar way to Devil Jin's 50-50 with instant while standing 2, which likewise is -12 on block, but Devil Jin's is also homing. Standing 4 is Jin's slower version of a Magic 4. This move allows you to frustrate your opponent by stifling their mix-up attempts, or to stall the momentum of opponents who like to hack away at you. The move grants a full combo on counter hit against any character since Season 2. Jin can go straight into Rage Shard or Rage Drive if he wants to maximize its effectiveness while in Rage. Standing 4, while being a high homing attack that is only -9 on block, is very slow to recover on whiff, so we advise you to be careful against opponents who are prone to ducking. Still, this doesn't change the fact that Tekken 7 Standing 4 is its best iteration since its introduction in Tekken 5 TR, where it was +2 on block and a natural crumple stun on hit. A curiosity, Jin's Standing 4 is also the signature move of Jin's original motion capture artist, the karateka Ryu Narushima, who is much known for putting his opponents down in the same manner. 442, also known by its move name Demon's Paw, is one of Jin's greatest mid attacks due to the multiple uses it offers him. 442 is safe at -8 on block while hovering around 14 to 15 frames of startup. 442 allows Jin to reset space in neutral. During wave dash, it grants him a safe mid option when mixing with CD4, a powerful splatting mid at the wall. It can also be used as a sort of barrier against players who like to bait Jin by whiffing moves at ranges where his other normals usually would not reach. All this being said, you do have to be very careful in how you utilize it, seeing as it can be quite easy to misjudge its reach, and on top of that, the move is also pretty linear. Median line destruction, or 1+2 as the command input, is Jin's 12-frame Punisher. It is unsafe at -14 on block and cursed with shorter range compared to his down forward 1. This makes good usage of the move quite rare. For an example, it cannot punish -12 frames wake-up mids in most circumstances. We've already covered the wake-up options in the Okisemi guide featuring Opaque, so make sure to check that one out if you have any unanswered questions in that area. However, 1+2 is a monster of a move at the wall, where it punishes whiff jabs with a distance of a backdash. It also scares your opponent away from subtly ducking versus Jin when they are cornered. If Jin either reads or reacts to the duck, he gets rewarded with a very damaging wall splat. In some cases, moves are punishable by 12 frames on block and jabs will not reach. In these situations, 1+2 becomes the ideal punisher to use, especially if you're in the need for some space. Sen 3+4 or the leaping sidekick can be compared to a stance version of the universal running 3, but with a different property on hit. Jin can use it for pressure while in Sen, or to maintain momentum when in the need of an immediate 50-50 mix-up. It is +8 on block by default, making forward 4 unsteppable, which forces the opponent to respect a mix-up attempt or risk getting hit by a counter hit launcher. Sen 3+4 has a large amount of active frames, just like running 3, which means the later it gets blocked, the more advantage Jin gains. This goes all the way up to +13 frames if the kick hits on the latest active frame. On hit, Sen 3+4 is a knockdown with a guaranteed 442 or grounded hit of Jin's choice. It can also be used to realign some of Jin's combos. Jin is a poke and dodge character, exemplified by his large arsenal of pokes he can use. His game plan tends to revolve around frustrating the opponent using devious pokes and then harshly punishing them when they frustratedly lash out, either by guarding against them or forcing them to whiff. Jin, however, has a plethora of multi-hit strings, but it is one of the areas in neutral where he has some pronounced weaknesses, as most of his strings are designed in a way that allow the opponent to crouch in between strikes to bypass his safety. He can use some strings, but they are generally very situational, as you won't use those same tools as often as some other characters, if not given a very good reason. Back forward 2-1-2 is one of these strings. The first hit is a safe mid, however the second hit is high. Being high makes it a duckable string if the opponent guards the first hit despite being safe and a natural hit combo. If the second hit connects, Jin is at +6 as mentioned in the previous Jin School. Connecting the second hit of the string as a counter hit makes the third hit guaranteed. Each part of this string is also highly delayable and hit confirmable. If your opponent blocks the first 2 hits of back forward 2-1, the third hit cannot be interrupted, stepped, or ducked as long as Jin doesn't delay its execution. At the wall, the third hit also wall splat if it connects. While back forward 2-1 might look like a good move to force out a duck from your opponent or when you're in the need to stagger jabs, even there the move has a few key weaknesses. It can be duck jab on the second hit, and even executed without delay, the opponent also has time to duck and hit in between the second and third hit. This leads us to the next string in question, back forward 2-3, which is designed to cover the weaknesses of back forward 2-1-2. Back forward 2-3 is mid-mid, just like Devil Jin's laser cannon. However, unlike DJ's, it is -12 on block instead of -10. If the second hit lands, Jin gets 6 frames of advantage. However, back forward 2-3 also allows Jin to enter Sen for a mix-up with more than twice the amount of bus frames at +17 on hit. At +17, you can realistically pick any option as your mix-up. However, unlike back forward 2-1, the opponent can step back forward 2-3 to the right. The second hit of back forward 2-3 is super delayable and also a scary move to try to interrupt, since it crumple stuns on counter hit, giving Jin a full combo. While back forward 2-3 is -12 if blocked, if Jin decides to enter Sen from it, it becomes -1 on block just as forward 4. This comes at the exchange of exposing yourself to the opponent a bit more. The timing to Sen cancel back forward 2-3 is a lot different than cancelling from forward 4 into Sen, which makes it a little challenging and will probably require quite a bit more practice. Players will often try to sidestep left after blocking it, as you never know when Jin gets to cancel it. So doing back forward 2-3 without Sen pays off quite a bit more often than one would think. If back forward 2-1-2 or back forward 2-3 hit the opponent in a back turn position or in specific side turn positions, most of the time all hits are guaranteed. Back forward 2-3 into Sen 1+2 is still a launcher against most of the cast if back turned. However, it's a pretty rare position to find yourself in, and most of the time side turn hits are what is more likely to occur. For this reason, opting for Sen 1-2 or Sen 1-3 tends to be a stronger option. 1-2-3 and 1-2-4 are probably Jin's most oft-used strings, and this for a good reason. 1-2-3 covers 1-2-4's weakness and 1-2-4 covers 1-2-3's gap. So what are these weaknesses? 1-2-3 has a gap that can be jabbed or stepped. Jin can use 1-2-4 to cover this gap, which will counter-hit launch the opponent who tries to interrupt it or catch the opponent trying to sidestep it. There is a third option available for the opponent that will beat both 3 and 4, which is a duck jab. But if you can force your opponent to commit to this, you can punish this option by doing 1-2 into low parry or sidestep launch if necessary. 4-4-3, while being a launcher, can also transition into any jab string. 4-4-3-1 has no gap and can therefore not be interrupted. From that point on, any jab variation Jin has is available, giving him a big arsenal of strings to choose from depending on what the situation calls for. 4-4-3 into 1-2-3 for a knockdown or wall pressure, 4-4-3 into 1-2-4 for a wall splat or combo if 4-4-3 launched, 4-4-3 into 1-down-3 for a mix-up, 4-4-3 into 1-3-3 for plus frames, and there's also 4-4-3 into 1-3 backstep in neutral and 4-4-3 into 1-3 sen, which tends to be quite impractical. A thing to note is that you have to be careful when going from 4-4-3 into 1, as if 4-4-3 has not been placed correctly, the jab will tend to whiff, due to the box down animation of the kick. It's hard to mention down back 2-2-3 outside of combo ender situations. However, there are particular instances where this is a string worth implementing. The first two hits are a natural combo, however, they do leave Jin at -7 on hit and -12 on block. But it is on the last hit where this string shines, as it has the longest string delay in Tekken history, enough to make anyone think that Jin is finished attacking, baiting them to run into that left foot front kick. The last hit is -9 on block and doesn't go into Sen, but it launches on hit or counter hit and gives a off-axis combo. One of its particular uses, besides the delay gimmick and being a combo ender, is that it is a full launcher against side turn characters, as the last hit becomes guaranteed on certain axes. 2-1-4 is a Jin string that really only has one purpose. That is to dissuade opponents trying to take the initiative back after 2-1 gets blocked or hits. The 4 is highly delayable for this purpose, but will become steppable if done so. We advise you to use this cautiously, as it's only +2 on hit, which leads into further frame trap situations. For this reason, 2-1 is generally still a better move than 2-1-4 in most cases, as it is +6 on hit, giving it synergy with back 4-2 strings. 1-down-3 is a high-low string that tends to be expressly used for round-ending purposes. The last hit is, as mentioned, low, but has no mix-up options. But if your opponent is too afraid to duck on jab staggers, 1-down-3 is an excellent way to clip your opponent's health advantage little by little. You could think of it a bit like a down 4 that comes out of a jab, since it has the same advantage at -1 on hit, giving mental advantage to Jin. However, it does have a last hit in 1-down-3-4, which is highly delayable and launches on counter hit, which means you can punish the opponent who is too tempted to seize the advantage. While setting 3 is a safe homing mid counter hit launcher, You can think of it a bit like Sen 3, but having a bit shorter range. Jin can use this option in wave dashes to counter hit launch players who cave under pressure and press buttons, or to fake a hell sweep at the wall and instead get a splat combo. As it is similar to Sen 3, what it lacks in range it makes up for with faster startup and being generally more available, as Jin can use it from wave dash and also just from getting out of the crouch position. Jin has a third stance which doesn't significantly affect his gameplay, as it's only present in 2 of his moves, both of which aren't very great. Down forward 3 is one of these 2 moves. It's a pretty poor mid, being -16 on block and not giving much in the way of reward, but it does have a second option in down forward 3-3, which is a high. The string is a normal hit combo as most of Jin Strings, and the second hit is also safe at -8. Down forward 3-3 has its own stance, a built-in backstep that allows Jin to maintain the exact same frame advantage with a slightly better distance between him and the opponent. The problem is that down forward 3-3 can be ducked on block, and by doing so, the backstep becomes meaningless as Jin can still get hit during the animation. Furthermore, down forward 3-3 now also transitions into Sen, but doesn't really lead to good options after to warrant its use. The other string is 1-3, which is slightly better than down forward 3-3. While being high, 1-3 jails, so it cannot be ducked and can, just like down forward 3-3, transition into the backstep. Because of this, you can attempt to maintain the advantage by baiting the opponent to attack into the backstep range and punish them for it. Just like down forward 3-3, it also transitions into Sen with somewhat insignificant advantage. So what makes 1-3 a better option than down forward 3-3? On top of having a useful backstep and Sen transition, when the second hit connects as a counter hit, the Kazama-style 5-hit combo becomes guaranteed. So whiffing jabs intentionally to catch with the second hit of this string gives actual reward. The third hit is -1 on block and the fourth is -7, meaning you can still step or try mostly anything in case it gets blocked. And on top of all this, the last hit, while being punishable, is still only -13 if blocked. The following moves we're about to break down have synergy with some other key moves, making them formidable tools if used in the right places. Down 3-3 on paper might seem like one of Jin's absolutely worst moves. It is a natural hit combo, but it's only -1 on hit and a whopping -16 if blocked. You could think that it has somewhat similar usage as 1 down 3, mostly being used to end rounds where Jin has health to spend. However, in the corner, down 3-3 gets one pretty good use case. When the opponent gets up after certain combos, it can be used to condition them to wake up ducking, making down forward 1-4, CD3 or 4-4-2 very powerful wall splat options. However, its use is very limited, as down 3-3 lacks range even when it hits and can lead to catastrophic events. We would love to see this move buffed in the future, maybe by doing down 3-3-3 leading to one of its already existing options like down forward 3-3. In the last 2 Jin School episodes, we promised to break down this move. We're of course talking about the almighty forward 3-3. This is a move that we consider to be quite unexplored, and if you change your perspective on how to view pressure, it can actually bring a lot to the table. On its own, 4-3-3 leaves Jin right into a key amount of plus frames at +6 if blocked. If you plan to maintain momentum with offense, this is a move that helps Jin keeping the opponent on their toes, as it can lead right into a mix-up option. It has great synergy with a few moves of Jin which are considered bad apples, such as 1 down 3-4, 1-3-2-1-4, down 3-3, and forward 3. These moves preventing sidestep right when timed correctly. And some excellent strings such as 3-1-4, back 4-2-1-2, 2-1-4, and crouch dash mix-ups. If you feel like your opponent likes to sidestep after 4-3-3, you can do down forward 3 at the end of 4-3-3 for a continued string that prevents sidestep. This last hit is sadly minus 14 on block and doesn't have much pushback. It's worth noting, however, that it does wall splat, but it's not always worth the risk. For a safer option, CDS3 will generally cover sidesteps. 4-3-3 can also be executed from a jab, and it also has one tiny secret, as if you do 4-4-3-3, Jin will change his forward-forward 3 animation into forward 3-3. This changes not only the frame advantage, but also makes it applicable in any scenario where the axe kick would fit. This last string recovering used to be one of Jin's worst, but since Season 2 it has become a lot better due to the amount of synergy it gives to Sen and offense in general if the opponent blocked the first 2 hits. Before Season 2 there was no mix-up involved and it was all easily blockable. So Namco, in a plot twist, decided to add a Sen transition before the low option, which led to the birth of 3-1-4 and 3-1 into Sen legit 50-50s. Now if the opponent blocks Jin's 3-1, there is no telling what he's going to do next, as he can both delay the low and transition into Sen at +4 on block, which from there he can either go mid, use several lows such as Hell Sweep or Sen 4, or just keep the momentum going, as he can transition into most anything he feels like. From Sen mix-ups to wave dash cancels, anything Jin demands when 3-1 gets blocked, he gets. The opponent can sidestep once Jin enters Sen, or try to interrupt it, but at +4, 3-1 into Sen 1+2 is not interruptible with any form of jab and can only be ducked. And 3-1 into Sen 3 acts like a 10 frame mid, so it will trade with 13 frames and up moves. 3-1-4 with no delay cannot be stepped, and pressing any button after blocking 3-1 will get the opponent launched on counter hit by the low. And in Season 3, Sen 1-3 keeps Jin safe, and there is no telling if he's doing the 1-2 version with a delay, so ducking for long after getting hit by 3-1 or even just blocking it can be very troublesome for the opponent. The most common way for the opponent to avoid the whole situation is by ducking after blocking 3, which gives them way more time to interrupt the string, making 3-1 slightly more of a risk, but it can still see use in surprising the opponent now and then. I'm HQRubbish and I've been your narrator for this video in collaboration with Eddie Wang. This was Jin School, Strings, and Bad Apples.